Okay. Okay, let's just see now if we can get Facebook on there too. But just hang on, everyone. I am just organizing myself. So I'm going to try and get Facebook in too. So we got Facebook Live now. Let me just check, my friends, and see if everything is actually working. Okay. So I think we're live. So it is, what is the local time, 1:30 a.m. in Brazil. I hope you can all hear me. We've got quite a special incident today, and I've actually been watching the Northeast Florida nest very early this morning. Just let me know on both Facebook and on YouTube whether you can actually see me live. So just give a comment, and that will be very helpful. I'm just trying to see what's going on with Facebook, and I'll just wait till everyone comes in and tunes in. And I'm very delighted to have David Hancock all the way from Vancouver, and he'll be joining us in just a few minutes, and he will be able to give you lots of insight. Good evening, says Amanda. Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas to you. Let me know if you can hear me, please, because I'm dealing with a lot of technology on one single computer here. And I'm trying to find myself on Facebook, which is a lot more difficult. So let me just wait a second. Where are we? Where are we? Live. Yes. Okay, loud and clear on Facebook. Thank you, Amanda. Okay, I got everyone. Angel Meyer, very nice to have you on YouTube. On Facebook, I can see Cheryl Grundy. I can see Mary DeBlanc Eversole. I can see Hazel Level Lee. I hope I pronounced all your names correctly. I'm so delighted. It's 1:30 a.m. here, and I'm delighted that with one single laptop, I'm running this show. And I've even got the incredible pleasure to have my great friend and eagle expert, David Hancock, on the other line, because what's happened at the Northeast Florida nest is completely unexpected, and we're going to deal with that in a moment. So I just want to rearrange my window a little bit. Just give me a second and just push myself down a little bit, so I'm not in the way. But what you can see, let me just tune in there, the live. Okay, I'm just, hopefully it'll go live again. I think there have been some restrictions on the Northeast Florida nest, but at the moment I believe that what we see there is Romeo. So what happened this morning, I'm just going to put the sound there on silent, yes. So what happened this morning was they actually found a pip in egg number 2. I think it was 7:35 a.m. I remember I saw that 5 minutes after it was announced, because it was already 10 a.m. here in the morning. And that was a complete surprise. So it looks like egg number 1, which is over 40 days now old, is not viable. Very unlikely. I mean, these events have been recorded, but it's very unlikely, seeing the very regular pattern that we had from Romeo and Juliet. In the meantime, you also know that A2, one of the eagles, has been sitting for some time on the eggs, trying to hatch them, and then going away again. This morning it looked like it was A2 dealing only with the eggs. In the meantime, the pip has grown, and Lady Hawk was very nice, by the way. Thank you so much, Lady Hawk, for sending me some further footage, which we will discuss in a moment. So I will try, let me just see, and switch in. This here comes from Lady Hawk. I'm just going to put the sound here on silent. So what you should be able to see there is the pip. It's a 9-minute video, and I think also she wrote to me to pay particular attention to what happens around 8.5 minutes. So what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to get my friend David Hancock in now. Let me just rearrange the window here. 1 second. And there's David Hancock from Vancouver. David, can you hear me?
I certainly can. And Merry Christmas to all your viewers. And I already did this to you, and I would have done it to Rosanna as well, except that she was already in bed.
Yes. Well, David, it's an absolute delight. You can't believe how everyone is thrilled to have you here, because you are really the eagle man, and you're the most experienced person to talk about this very unusual circumstances. And I'm sure you have a lot to say about it. We were briefly talking on the phone, and I would encourage you, don't send in your questions yet. I'm going to just greet all of you from David Yeah, on behalf of David Hancock, sorry, it's a bit late here. I'm trying to get my energy here together. It's very hot. And it's very nice to have him on board. So I'm just going to summarize what has been going on. I'm going to read out what Lady Hawk wrote to me. And then I'm going to get David Hancock to comment on it. And then please feel free, just give us a little bit of time. I would like David to give some expert comments on the situation. And then you're very free to come in with all your comments. I can see you all greeting David. Thank you very much from both Facebook and also on YouTube. So I'm just going to go over now. And Lady Hawk wrote the following to me just about an hour ago. She said, some additional coverage of the pipping of NE20. So this is NE20. Be sure to watch the 808 mark. So that's the video that's running at the moment in the background. When the egg tooth comes out of the shell. This is the third intruder female eagle that brings a fish to the nest to eat. This is incredible. She also stole a fish from Romeo earlier. This is not A2, the young female that incubated the eggs. And then she says Merry Christmas and so on, which is very kind of her. So you can see how complicated the whole situation is. This morning, when I was talking to David Hancock, it seemed like there was A2, the young female who was incubating the eggs and had been a frequent visitor, and there was also a third adult eagle that came in and recently showed up. In the meantime, it's very complicated because there's a third female intruder eagle that brings fish to the nest. She also stole the fish from Romeo, just to say it again. And A2 was the young female that incubated the eggs, but she was not seen at the moment. It's incredibly complex what is going on. And in a few hours, if everything goes well, it looks like we may have a pip. So David, please, I'm going to hand this over to you now. Can you please comment on the situation?
Well, I'm looking only at the video of the chick with his beak sticking out the eggshell. It seemed to be you were referencing something else, but I don't see what else. But this is an awesome circumstance. I mean, I've viewed and participated in rearing a lot of birds, but I've never even heard of the female disappearing and two other eagles simultaneously or almost simultaneously taking over the incubation and hopefully, and I'll stress another time, hopefully, rearing this chick when it emerges in perhaps another 3 days. This is quite incredible. My experience has been when a parent has died, and I've seen one or two when they were killed by either road kills or electrocution while they were incubating. And in both cases I witnessed, the male, literally, in both cases it was a female that was killed, and the male abandoned the sitting and holding of those eggs. And well, eventually he got a female a day later. In one case, I can't remember the other. That new female would have nothing to do with the eggs. Now, maybe because we didn't have cameras on them, they were already taken by a raven, but she didn't lay again that year, but she did come back. We knew this particular lady came back because she had a band on her, and next year the banded bird returned. But this circumstance that you've got here of two birds coming in and kind of pseudo taking the place of one or doing so is quite incredible. And it will be interesting to see if this female, the first one, which incubated the eggs, that was pretty good. For her to do that, she must have had all her hormones working in the right sequence, and to one would expect, maybe even to the possibility of developing a brood pouch or about to develop a brood pouch. And that shift of hormones would also likely result in triggering the feeding behavior of the positive responses to the begging calls of the chick. Whether the second chick, female, will do that, boy, that's being awfully optimistic. But the fact she's not grabbing the eggs and taking them apart, because as you know, you watched even the White Rock nest where we had a female come in and she actually grabbed the eggs and broke them and ate the eggs. So there's a lot of potential challenges here. and downsides. And so I mention them because some of the public gets upset about these things, but that's the way nature works. So at the moment, I think you've got an incredibly wonderful, optimistic turn of events with this one female incubating the eggs, sufficiently successful that this second egg is pipped. And now, in all likelihood, it's about 3 more days till hatching. She's got good access. It's a nice big air hole. She can breathe pretty effectively here. Even got part of her beak out a little bit. And in all likelihood, she'll start that circle, which is going to take another 2.5 to 3 days, as she completely cuts the inside of the membrane and weakens the shell, so the top part of the shell pops off. Now that's about 3 days, and nearly 3 more days. So 2.5 to 3 from now. I don't quite remember what time the pip came through, but it's an awesome example of why these birds are so successful. They manage to put up with an incredible number of challenges, because losing the female 2/3, 3/4 of the way through incubation, just absolutely incredible, but they should be successful.
Yeah, David, you bring up so many interesting points. Let's try and simplify it a bit. Of course, all the situation is very complex, but let's simplify it. I mean, what you've heard of A2, of a young female who instinctively has sat on the eggs, trying to do incubation. If it had only been A2 that came in, you probably would agree the success, the scenario for success would be much bigger then, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this other bird, the second bird, I'm not sure what you're calling them, but the second bird, the second female, it has to go through some kind of hormonal change so that it doesn't just view a chick as another dinner, because apparently that second bird has already taken food from the nest. And you just hope she doesn't take this newly hatched chick as a bit of food, which I would think has a high probability. So and people should be, just simply aware of that. And let's hope it's not the case. But every day she's staying with this pair, the more likely is that these hormones will change, that she becomes brood and chick oriented as opposed to just feeding aggressively. So yeah, big challenges here.
Yeah, David, I'm just going to throw in some comments. Maybe there was some misunderstanding. I'm going to throw in some comments which I actually agree with. Orimum says 3 days. I've seen a hatch with 24 hours. Wanda E9 says the same. Alicia Sunshine on Facebook says, today the female sat next to the eggs after eating a fish that Romeo brought to the nest. However, after at least half an hour of doing it, she did not look at the eggs once. Valerie says the egg will probably hatch by the end of Christmas Day. So the experience that we have here is typically around 20-24 hours from the moment we see the pip to the hatch. That's at least what the stats are telling us here.
Well, that may be the case. It's a little bit longer generally in our area. It's usually in the 3 to 4 days from the beginning of the pip to the actual hatch. Mm-hmm. But that kind of thing varies with birds in different regions. So it's possible that where it's very warm, the great danger, by the way, at the time of pipping to hatching for most birds, it is if the shell or the membranes around the edge of the shell that's been broken and cracked, if they dry out and they create a kind of glue that means that the poor chick is glued into place. So where you've got warmer weather, like in Florida, it's quite possible that it's evolved a shorter period between pip and hatching to help reduce that impact of the extra heat, solidifying that soft membrane and gluing it to the feathers of the emerging chick. So I wouldn't doubt at all that the southern birds would hatch a little bit quicker.
And David, we're looking exactly at the situation now. You can see the tooth actually coming through, right?
Now I see a cat there.
Yeah, that's it. Hang on. Are you looking at the same screen? 1 second.
I'm looking at the same screen I was looking. Oh, now it turns out is there an adult's claw?
No. What you may not be seeing this properly on your side. What you see here is the tooth.
Back to the screen again that has the eggs on it. It went to two kittens for some reason. It just changed on its own.
Oh, sorry. Maybe my screens are not doing what they're supposed to do. But what you see, what you should be seeing, and I hope you do because I'm switching so many screens. Sorry if I'm making mistakes on that. It's not easy doing this, but you should be seeing the little tooth coming through, picking itself through there. Through the
yes, I could see that. And I'm back now. The kittens have gone away, and we're back to eggs now. So that's great. My daughter is sitting here beside me, and she's good on computers. So she's found the eggs again and given up the kittens.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So you're seeing
Christian, I thought you were going to tell me that not only was there that story about the two females hatching these eggs, but now they've brought in live kittens and they're raising them like our No, you're not trying to outdo Hocklet, are you?
No. I think it's dramatic enough. We have lots of comments coming in here. Thank you for all tuning in. I'm watching two screens just scroll at an incredible rate here.
Well, let me say something about the pip that's here.
Go ahead.
The egg in pipping it looks like where I'm viewing it at this moment, it's about 6 minutes and 58, almost 7 minutes now into the video. The crack of the egg is quite large. Normally the pip is quite a bit smaller, and then it starts to do the going around the whole eggshell. This egg is developing quite a big pip, a crack right across the top of the shell. That to me is not quite as normal as such. So it may be that it's going to split the shell differently because the bird's pretty active inside. You can see it moving around in there. So it may be that this chick is not going to do it quite the normal way. Life takes all sorts of twists.
Yeah, David, when you say quite the normal way, I would have thought that the position at the moment looks very good because it is there where the egg is, where the steepness of the curvature of the egg is not so difficult. Wouldn't that be the right way for the pip to happen, the right location?
Oh, I'm talking about, sorry, Christian, I'm talking about something different.
Okay.
Normally the beak pops through and makes a hole where it can breathe air, and then it kind of rotates in a way that it starts the cut right around the whole top of the shell, from which the top pops off and the chick pops out. This one looks like it might crack and break. Now, I can't be certain that's a crack, but it looks like there's a crack across, developing laterally across the eggshell. That's what I'm saying is not quite normal, because normally the jagged pip mark is a little bit lower, or in this case, farther away than from the front, a little farther back, down the slope a bit, and it cuts a circle right around the outside. Now, maybe the chick is about to do that, but that cut is what usually takes about 2.5 to 3 days. Now, this chick may be going to break the shell in a different manner because it's got a big break across it. So maybe the chick inside is expanding because he's doing a lot more breathing and so on. And maybe he's going to force the shell to break in a different way than normal.
Okay. Yeah, David, I just wanted to greet you from all the people I see. Lady Hawk has just turned in. Thank you very much. Tuned in. Thank you very much, Lady Hawk, for being so incredible on the 24th, supplying all the material. I see Angel Meyer, Riemann, Susan North. Hi. Let's see who else is there. Alice Porro. Nichole is there. Very nice to see you, Nichole. Thanks for the message earlier. I did see it. I was a little bit hectic doing so many things. Proud Cat, Mama of Two. Very nice to see you. Wanda E9. And so on. Robin B, I see. And on Facebook, I see lots of people, Angel Brown,
Yeah. Let
Jet,
me interrupt,
yeah.
Christian. Um, Now I'm seeing what I thought was just a little bit of grass or something. Yeah. Are they seeing that there's not only a crack running from the center of the pip going right, but now that line that's coming down seems to be expanding as a crack as well. So it may be this egg is going to crack quite differently. I'm not normally seeing the egg crack the way it appears. Do you think both those lines, the one going to the right and the one going down, are real cracks, or are they just
Sorry,
hard?
1 second. I just lost this. I have to go back again.
Well, it might be.
1 second. Excuse me. Let me just go back again. I'm not sure what you're seeing there, David, if your screen was a little bit high enough, but what we're actually seeing is you see a piece of grass taking a sort of a 90-degree turn to 3 o'clock. And it looks like
if that is, and
Yes,
it may well be, because it may be, now I see on the lower part, I miss seeing the grass coming up from the bottom. So if that's both a piece of grass, then I take back everything I just said about the crack. It's not a crack, it'll just be a piece of grass. Sorry, I thought that was a crack in looking at it. I'm only looking at a tiny image here.
No, I know. It's okay.
So,
it's okay.
But I think now you're right. It is a grass rather than the beginning of a crack. I thought it was a crack, but it's not.
Okay.
So this is much more normal. And what the chick should do is put his head back inside and start to rotate 360 degrees to make the pip line.
Right.
It would probably be a little bit farther away from the camera because the shell is cracked almost near the maximum. It's because it pops out of it. It's a little bit on the narrow side, getting a little bit at the big end, but it's more to the big end than to the absolute center. But it's usually a little bit more toward the center than where the pip is.
Yeah, I just see some comments here on Facebook which are interesting. They say the E13 crack looks very similar to this one earlier. So what they're referring to is Marty Lord referring to that. They are talking here about the Southwest Florida nest. So thanks for putting in the comments there. So of course the Southwest Florida nest looks a lot more positive. We had this wonderful hatch yesterday, and I don't quite know. You can gladly update me. I don't know what's going on at the moment. Whether there is a I mean, although there's a pip, but I don't think there's a hatch yet. But in the Northeast Florida nest, that's really what we're discussing here. Thanks to Lady Hawk, just to summarize, the situation is inherently complex. I understand that there are 3 females now. Just to summarize again, the female that helped originally, that we thought sat on the eggs, was called A2. There are 2 other females, and I just have to go back to her message to actually read this out. Let me just find it, because it is so complicated. Now I've closed that somewhere because I've got so many windows open here. 1 second. Oh yes, here it was. So she wrote the following to me once again. Hi Christian, some additional coverage of the pipping of NE20. So this is Northeast 20 egg number 20. So 19 is not viable. Be sure to watch at 8:08. We did that, Lady Hawk, in the video when the egg tooth comes out of the shell. Yes, we did see that. And now comes the important thing. This is the 3rd female intruder, eagle, that brings a fish to the nest to eat. She also stole a fish from Romeo later. So Romeo is the male, obviously. Juliet got lost on the 17th, as far as I remember, and wasn't seen ever since. This is not A2, the young female that incubated the eggs. And then she goes on to say, Merry Christmas, thank you very much. But anyway, this is incredibly complex. So my question is to the audience right now is, when was any female last seen, and does anybody know which one it is? Just to add to the confusion. And then the other question I have at the moment, maybe somebody could clarify that, was A2 seen recently, and how do you even know which is which? Okay, a lot of questions here to the audience. So yes, Romeo is the best. Makes it so complicated. So I guess, David, with all your decades of experience, Is there anything that you could add that could give us some light of what is likely to happen here?
Well, I mean, what you want to have happen is to have it happen right. And whether it will or not, I mean, the big question is really, you've overcome the first big one. It seems to be the first female has really got her head, heart, and really what it means is her hormones into being in a nurturing mode as opposed to a predation mode. And she sat on that egg and incubated it for some time. My expectation of her carrying through and probably even helping feed it, even though she's new. The male will probably help. The second female, boy, that's still a big question. And does anybody know the first female, the first replacement female, is about 5 years old? Is that correct? I mean, she's got some black strip, but the second one is how old? Younger or older?
Okay, I'm going to pass that question on. I'm going to read it. So if anybody could comment on any of the black feathers, I think either they were seen on the head or on the back. By the way, Lady Hawk says E13 hasn't hatched yet. Thank you. But what we're looking for is, how do you at the moment identify the three? And does anybody is anybody able to estimate the age of A2? I think that is one of the main questions. So I'll wait for some of your observations to come in. Yeah, hopefully that'll put some light on it, and then David can comment on it. So we're missing some information here. So Valerie, David, I'm going to read some comments out here. On Facebook, Valerie Valecento says, oh gosh, now the comment's gone away. I think the female wasn't seen, A2 wasn't seen since this afternoon. Rachel Freeman says, yes, the female did come in and steal the egg, steal the fish, and the comment has disappeared again. Joanne says, first was younger, the others were older. Okay, and now I'm going to go over to to YouTube and see if there are any comments here on the age, the possible age of A2 and the others. And how, okay, Lady Hawk says, A2 has some dark feathers on her head, so she's just turning 5 years old. Okay, so there you go, David.
Okay. So A2 is the second female, and the third one is A3. So it's one original Juliet, then 2, and then 3. That's the way to easily keep them in track. So
right.
I think the third female is a bit older. So maybe she's got more experience, but I mean, maybe she doesn't. I mean, maybe that's why she's here. She's been without a mate and without nesting experience. So I think that the big question still remains, will that third female turn to be brood capacity? I mean, turn to be a brooder and a feeder. That's really what's important here. Or is she going to be aggressive and still see a new chick on the nest as food, like she did already, and removing something from the nest? Because it's a very unusual thing, at least in our area, to have food on a nest until the chicks hatch. And I mean, that's just naturally the way these creatures have evolved. They don't want to have food attracting other predators, ravens and crows, and the smell for more raccoons or whatever it is. So they've evolved to not bring food until usually the eggs hatch. Now, that one bird eating on the nest and taking food away, that's a bit different. It's atypical. Yes. Birds do a lot of things atypical. So, I mean, part of this is about hoping and watching and seeing what happens, because nobody is going to be able to give you any real valid sample size of how this has turned out in the past. It hasn't been observed. I'm sure it's never been observed before like this on a camera. It's just not happened. Or if it happened once, which is unlikely, that's hardly what you're going to develop too big an opinion on. So,
okay, now, yeah. David, yeah, that's great. What Valerie just says here on Facebook is, the female was last seen at 3:53 is not A2. A2 was seen 2 days ago. She's 5. Well, that, of course, is quite disturbing, if that's correct, because that seems to be the only female so far that has incubated the eggs. Yeah.
does that mean no bird, no female is incubating the eggs the last 2 days?
That is my understanding, but please go and correct me, okay? I'm inviting you to correct me.
Yeah.
So the question is once again, is A2 the only female that is incubating the eggs? Have the others done that? And if that is the case, is that true that the last incubation was 2 days ago? So I'm opening again the questions. Please help answer that. Thank you.
I'd ask a question. What is the ambient temperature, the outside temperature there right now?
Let me ask the Floridians. I also saw Osprey Mama coming in. All of those who live in Northeast Florida, what is the ambient temperature around the nest at the moment? Beach Girl 75 and so on. All of you who know the nest fairly well and the temperatures. So those are two separate questions. What is the ambient temperature at the moment? That's very critical. And the second question is, have the other females that have come in since the 2 days done an incubation? Lady Hawk says, David, that is correct. No female eagle is incubating the eggs. Yes, A2 is the only one. So that answers the question very, very concisely. So Osprey Mama says it's 48 degrees Fahrenheit. I have to do some arithmetic, David, to put that in degrees Celsius. What would that be? That's fairly
48 is fine. I mean, 48 is not very warm.
Yes. That's not
so
warm at all.
No, this is not very warm at all. So somebody needs to be sitting on this chick. But at the same time, if they are sitting on it, they're going to bring the temperature up, and the bird is going to tend to increase a relative humidity around the egg, because she's probably been he has probably been in the water,
right,
or somehow has some dampness, because every study been done shows that the relative humidity quickly increases when a bird sits on the egg. So that is one of the features that helps stop the egg membrane from drying out and sticking the chick to the shell. That's so important in the hatching process.
Yeah, Valerie Valicento is actually remarking here on Facebook, 60s during the day, so it's much warmer. Then, of course, Osprey Mama has also said it's warmer in the nest. That would confirm what you're just saying. And also I've heard here that Romeo is the only one incubating the nest, the eggs. The question I have to all of you, how is the food supply coming in then? I mean, who's getting the food? Because I get so confused. There seems to be food coming in, excuse me, at the same time food is being stolen. Could you just help explain what you're seeing there?
Yeah, because Romeo can hardly go out and catch all the food and do all the incubation. That would be a lot to expect here. I mean, these eggs are pretty resilient, but that's asking a lot of resilience, an awful lot.
Yeah, Beach Girl 75 says it's supposed to be warmer this week. I wanted to thank you, really. You giving us such great input all the time. I'm trying to read the questions or your comments in as fast as I can so I don't miss them, especially on Facebook, where they appear extremely short, unfortunately. Susan Westeen, oh gosh, and here goes your comment again. Romeo is bringing the food in. Is that so? But I mean, then to leave the incubation, I don't know how long are the eggs exposed, actually. That's the other question. So if he gets the food in, what are your observations of how long the eggs are actually left exposed? So I see lots of comments here that Romeo is the one who brings the food in. So this is a Superman. This is an absolute Superman.
Well, he appears to be. And now I'm clearly, I was at a different angle on a small image. I thought that was a crack line. Now I clearly see what I was first referencing was the piece of, now I see it's clearly a piece of grass. I missed seeing that.
Yeah, that's okay. Valerie Valicento says he flies and catches it. He's gone an hour at most. Oh, that's amazing. But David, if an egg were left exposed in White Rock, where of course in Canada it's much cooler, for an hour, that would be it, wouldn't it? I mean,
no, not at this stage. No, the a more resilient stage than some. Probably the most delicate, easily disrupted stage is in the first 36 to 48 hours. When they get to hatching, they're quite a bit more resilient. One of the things that's a bit in favor here is the coolness is probably a little bit more beneficial than too much heat, because that heat could cause the membrane to stick the feathers. And I've seen so many chicks, not in nests, but in incubators, if you don't get that relative humidity just right, which is what the incubating bird controls by sitting on it. If you don't get that right, the darn membrane sticks to the feathers stick to it, and the chick is not coming out. That's all there is to it. So cooler is not going to cause that membrane to stick to the feathers.
Yeah, Alicia, I think Alicia Sunshine, I'm trying to remember your comments because on Facebook they disappear, which is so annoying. So I'm trying to memorize what you just wrote, but you had a very interesting comment because I remember that you said, in general, Romeo would leave the nest between 30 minutes and 1 hour. He brought in 3 fish, and I understood you also correctly that one of the fish was stolen by one of the females, which of course is really annoying when you watch it. Excuse the anthropomorphism coming in here, but that's probably.
Well, of course, at this stage, it doesn't really matter. There's nobody there to feed anyway, because they're not feeding the chick for a while yet. But in fact, I'm most upset by the fact that food came to the nest and the bird did take it away. That suggests this. The bird is there for the purposes of feeding and stealing food. And that next food item, a couple of days from now, or some of you think might be a bit earlier, could be a squirming chick. And that's what you don't want here, is the squirming chick being a food source.
Yes, I think.
For one of the parents, I'm meaning. Yeah.
Yeah, but David, it's a difficult situation. I just saw another comment here that Romeo is trying to stock fish, like you stock fish in the refrigerator. I mean, we've seen that in White Rock too. But of course, at the moment, that is probably not the right thing to do. Is that what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's right. It isn't at the moment. I mean, a little bit later on when the chicks are hatched, that's a different thing. But at the moment, this old conflict, which is there about a female that isn't quite yet converted with hormones to be maternal and want to incubate and brood and feed young. That's the big shift you need to have happen here on these females. Otherwise, they're going to eat the chick. See, that's the worry.
Right, here you go. Here you go.
The balance that we're talking about, trying to hope that balance comes into play here.
Yeah, and Alicia Sunshine is saying that's the same female. They'd ate all the fish today. Well, thank you. Now it's becoming clear and clear. So we know now. Let me just summarize. A2, the female that is 5 years old, that's what we understand now, hasn't incubated since two days. It's all been Romeo. Romeo is the one who brings in all the fish. And the female today was sitting there, was also the one who consumed all the fish. So I think we're getting the picture. Thank you so much for bringing all the comments in. That is quite incredible. So, David, going back now to the statistics on the Northeast Florida nest, which Gretchen has been done so diligently for years, they have a very consistent picture that it would usually, the first egg would hatch after 37 days, the second one after 36 days. The 36 days we're seeing. The first one would usually take from the pip to the hatch would take about 24 to 40 hours, whilst the second egg would go a lot faster, 20 to 24 hours, if I remember the stats correctly.
Good for her. Well, I think that's a bit faster than here, but I already explained my thought on maybe why that might be in warmer temperatures. So it's so critical, this concern that obviously has evolved by the birds, that they don't let that open area dry out and stick the membrane, which is wet and gluten. I mean, it's what do you call it? It's protein, and so it can just glue if it dries up the feathers, and then it's welded, literally glued into the eggshell, and the chick can't get out, and it spends its energy struggling. And so that's the big worry to me, is that could happen here.
Yeah, and sorry, go on.
Well, it would happen if a parent is not covering the eggs up regularly and keeping the relative humidity relatively high. That's what prevents the wet part of the moisture from the membrane inside from sticking that feathers to it. So yeah, the longer the thing sits out in the open air and the breeze passing by, the more risk there is to this chick being trapped by the solidifying membrane.
Right, right.
We just hope. I mean, so far there's been some wonderful indicators. I'm sad to hear that the female number 2 has not been incubating for 2 days.
Yes.
And number 3 female apparently hasn't incubated at all. So
yeah, that's very worrying. All she's done, that's what I'm reading here time and again, is just stolen food. That's it.
That's not a good scene, because the chick would be a food item that if it did hatch.
Right.
But it had 2 days or so here of work to get out of that shell. It's got to begin to cut the whole circle. It hasn't begun to cut that yet. Right. All right. Well, there we are. I mean, it'd be interesting to talk again tomorrow and to see how this is progressing. Because
we will definitely do a follow-up tomorrow, David. I mean, it's fantastic. If you have time again, please do join us. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give more attention now to some of the viewers and just read out their comments. So I will, I'll let you go, and I would like to thank you so much. People were very grateful that you were online giving comments in this rather peculiar and difficult situation. Thank you so much, David.
Well, good to you, and a Merry Christmas to your viewers. And call me on my cell tomorrow, because I'll be home. Me and my daughter and I will be having dinner, but we'll give this present.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not contributing very much, but it's really fascinating to see how this bird is going to overcome the big challenge, which I see as the drying out of the shell if there's nobody sitting on it. That's the risk here.
Well, thanks a lot, David. I'll contact you, and we'll probably do another spontaneous broadcast around this time or earlier tomorrow, so that, I don't have to sit here till 2 a.m. Anyway, okay. Okay.
Right. Okay. Give Rosanna a hug for me.
We'll do. Thanks a lot, David. Take care. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so that was David Hancock. I'm just going to rearrange my window quickly, and I will now give you my undivided attention to the comments that you may have. So let me just spool back, and thank you so much, everybody, for participating. I also see Janice come in. Thank you very much to Nichole and Jenny for coming in, and good night to Osprey Mama. I just saw that. So I'm going to take your comments now, and I'm going to cross-reference them from one to the other, so that that we can learn a bit more. So I'm just going to read through it. Angel Meyer says now on YouTube, I wish the American Eagle Foundation would intervene right now, especially with all the drama going on with females coming and going. Well, Angel Meyer, that is a very difficult question. This is a fundamental question you're asking here, is when to stop and when not. And I'll tell you, there are different views on this. There's no right or wrong. Okay, so don't worry about my view. All I can tell you, there's no right or wrong. We are watching nature, right, unfold. The question is, should we censor it, yes or no? That is really the question. And this is where the anthropomorphism comes in a lot that we were discussing yesterday. I'm not saying what is right or wrong. I'm just raising the question is when to stop and when not. I think what the American Eagle Foundation was very good, because they have put an alert there that you have to click and say, look, this is your own risk. If you want to watch this, you click on this, and whatever you're going to see there is at your own risk. I think that is a very clever approach, by the way. I'm not going to say anything more to that, but it's a difficult question. This is the way nature works. Should we observe nature the way it works? Once we click on that and we say, okay, I'm going to, I understand that this is going to can be very disturbing. Are we going to watch it? I would like to hear your opinion on this. It's quite a difficult topic, by the way. But honestly, I think they're handling it very well. Beachco 75 says it's not up to the American Eagle Foundation to intervene. Thank you for the comment. Angel Maya says again, Christian, I think they should censor it so it doesn't upset people, and warning is a good thing. So here we go. We have a nice controversy going on. So please bring in your comments. Kathleen Steele Larson on Facebook says, thank you very much, both fascinating. This brave Romeo is doing the best he can. I would love to hear your comments on whatever consequences there were. Is this something one should broadcast, yes or no? And please say what you think. And why you say what you think. Valerie Valicento says the government won't let them interfere. It's not a man-made issue. Well, there you have a very clear opinion. Thank you for that. Kim Stout says the rules is if they won't intervene unless it's man-made problem. I asked at the Northeast Florida Nest today, and that's a great answer. Again, I think really they're handling it very well. Robin Sisson on YouTube says, yes, it should be your own choice. Great. It should be your own choice. And their tree climbing says, nature is nature, IMO. That's it. Okay. And tree climbing, you are a very much nature-bound person. I completely understand your point of view. Amanda says, it's reality that humans don't like, that don't like at all. It's what happens in many animals and birds. We need to concentrate on their aspects of life. We do have direct consequences in. This is in this situation we don't. So here you go. Again, a very clear view. Thank you very much. Orimum. Sorry, I hope Orimum. I hope Orimum. No, sorry, I mispronounced it. Orimum. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired here. It's past 2. We learn by watching these camps what is happening in the wild. Absolutely. Mike Smith says, unfortunately, this is a natural event. I've grown attached to this nest in Southwest Florida nest the past 3 seasons. But this is nature, and I hate it happens. But it needs to be left for what it is, and for nature to handle in the way. Very good. Kathy Harter says, this is nature, and humans put camera up there. Good or bad, it is a choice. Wow, you've all got very clear opinions. I'm so grateful you're coming in. Kathy Brady says, if the females don't have breeding hormones, they are more likely to see the eagles as food. That would confirm, Kathy, what David Hancock has just said. I'm going to switch over again to Facebook and say, Marco Rose, viewer discretion. Just like if you don't like what you see, turn it off. I don't like seeing the bonking phase with eagles, so I don't watch when it starts. So, Marco, you're saying it's your own responsibility here, and it's viewer discretion, just like we have in movies, don't we? Kathleen Podgorny, oh gosh, the comment's moving again. However, we did intervene when the DC eagle, yes, the DC eagle got its foot stuck in a tree branch the season before last, yes. That was not man-made. Eaglet was saved and fully fledged. Yes, on the other hand, Kathleen, we have seen situations where they had some fishing line entangled. Now that you could argue is a man-made situation, isn't it? That's the most common problem they have with fishing lines. And should one intervene, yes or no? I would think it's very important to intervene, and they actually do. Your comments are really great. Candance says, raw nature most definitely. And Amy Christian says, hello, Merry Christmas, hello, Merry Christmas. Sherry von Sickle says, we watch live cams. We need to be prepared for anything good or bad, absolutely. Back now to YouTube again. Let's see, Angel Meyer again. So we had your opinion, Angel Meyer. Romeo is a rock star dad. He will do whatever it takes to keep his chick safe. I haven't lost hope. Just that you're concerned badly. Melinda Dennis says, what you observe nature live. Yeah, that is when you observe nature live, you have to be prepared for whatever happens. If you cannot deal with it, you should not watch. I think there's a really prevailing consensus here on this type of view. You're a trooper, Christian, says Amanda. Thanks for the broadcast. Right, Mike Smith and Mary Lou. Thank you, Mary and Mike Smith says, I agree wholeheartedly with Betty. Robin Sisson says, the way of nature is to pass on your own genes. The attacking female is still around. She, I think, will destroy the eaglet. Well, that is a worrying thought, and you may unfortunately be right there. I think David Hancock would probably agree with your thoughts. Galligram GE says, to all Merry Christmas Eve. I applaud the American Eagle Foundation for putting up a warning. I think it's brilliant too, giving viewers a choice to view or not. This is unknown territory for all of us. I'm praying for a positive outcome. Great comment. Thank you very much. Beach Girl 75 says, yes, Mary Lou, that is Romeo. Okay, back now again to Facebook. Let me see. Melissa Ann Elzinga says, it's absolutely beautiful watching Romeo so invested, isn't it? And that's a male, isn't it amazing? His instincts are so beautiful to watch. He is an absolute Superman. Valerie Valencento says again, the three males around the nest, A2 may not have incubated. It may have been the latest female. They are unsure because it is dark. A2 hasn't been seen for the last 2 days. Yes, Valerie, you did mention that before, and that is a very important comment. Marty Lord says, it's raw nature and can be heartbreaking. If it's too much, don't watch. That's the consensus, isn't it? Again and again. And at that moment, your comment disappeared, but I think I just saw it. And by the way, give us thumbs up. That really helps. It's very kind of you. Both on Facebook and on YouTube. This is completely voluntary. It's run to bring education of wildlife together. This is amazing. Your contributions are absolutely appreciated by me and also by David Hancock and my team here from Nichole and also Jenny. Thank you so much for your contributions. We so enjoyed, so please give a thumbs up. It just makes such a difference. Motivation is so important in life. You know, it is really important because I'm now running at 2:30 a.m. and running this, okay? So it motivates all of us. Thumbs up is so much. It's a little bit that makes a big difference, okay? So thank you so much. Thank you for broadcasting. Also says Marion, very nice to see you, Marion Swenson. And Merry Christmas to everyone. My goodness, we are slowly going now into the tree climbing fortnight. Oh, thank you very much for that one. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much for the donation. It's so appreciated. That is so wonderful to have you all here. And it is so warm in Brazil. I had wonderful desserts, by the way. I have to tell you, the families here in Brazil are so incredibly generous. It's so wonderful to be here. And I feel so honored and I feel so incredibly privileged to be able to give this broadcast and share this with you. Julie Goldberg also says, nice to see you too. That's wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Zasabo. You're most welcome. Leslie Hardy said, I would rather watch what happens for myself, be it good or bad, and not someone else telling you that. I have hope that it will work out. Oh, well, cheers to that. I've got water here only. Cheers to all of you, my friends. So, you know what? I'm going to go and jump to bed now. I don't even know how long I've been online, but it must have been quite some time. Yeah, it's nearly an hour. So I think, you know, this has been a wonderful broadcast because of you all, because of you. It's been a most incredible broadcast. I will endeavor to be back online. If you have anything that you would like to share, I so appreciate your contributions. So far I've only asked Lady Hawk, but I know many of you have interesting contributions. Do send them either to oh gosh, now you see, Nichole, help me. I don't know all the emails off by heart. I only know one that is SassePhoto@gmail.com. But we have other ones too that I cannot, for my tiredness at the moment, put my mind to. But Nichole and Jenny, please put in the the emails in both in both Facebook and YouTube. I think I better sign off. I'm getting tired now. Well, thank you so much, my friends. It's been an absolute delight. Merry Christmas to all of you. It's a wonderful time. It's so educational. I think this is one of the most exciting live streams, whatever the outcome may be. So thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to now, so that is the final picture that we get there from Romeo. So let me just change the view quickly because they do such a great job here. So that is the night view that we have at the moment. So you can see I remember this tree so well at the Northeast Florida nest. And I'm just going to, I'm just going to give you the other views too. There was one where we look a little bit more into the nest. Isn't that beautiful? My goodness, Romeo is an absolute hero. He must be so exhausted. And it looks like there's no other female around, so it's 23:23. What a magic number right then. So yeah, soon you'll be at midnight and it'll be Christmas Day for you. And that's going to be my way of saying Merry Christmas. So I will first, I better do this in the right sequence. 1 second. Get the right sequence. Yes. So I'm first going to say goodbye to my YouTube viewers. Thank you so much for all your value contributions, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Okay, so I don't exactly know what time, but it'll probably be in the evenings, either 11, 12 a.m. or past midnight here when I'll be streaming again. So very much around the same time. So thank you very much for viewing.